Welcome to the InfoTrust and Optimizely webinar on the value of web experimentation. I'm Adam Melson, the Director of Partnerships at InfoTrust, and one of the biggest partnerships we have is with Optimizely. We're eager to get through all that Jared and Dejan have prepared today, so let's jump right in. Also, stay tuned at the end where anyone who doesn't already have a copy of our Amazon best-selling book, Becoming a Privacy-Centric Marketing Organization, can get one on us, on me, on InfoTrust, on Optimizely. All right, so a lot of you joined today through knowing InfoTrust. A lot of you joined through knowing Optimizely. I want to give a quick rundown and close the loop on who we both are. So InfoTrust is a privacy-centric digital analytics solutions company that empowers marketers to make confident data decisions. To move away from that buttoned-up description, who are we also? We work with several verticals like CPG, retail, media, healthcare, and finance. We help advance companies along the data maturity curve. Some companies use InfoTrust to resell and support a GA4 license. Some clients use us to set up server-side, some for propensity modeling. Some clients use us to conduct consent management and data governance audits. Others use our free Chrome extension Tag Explorer. And by others, I mean like over 30,000 people. But also, some other people purchase our enterprise tool Tag Inspector to ensure that they stay aligned with new data privacy laws by country and by state. So lastly, we have partnerships and certifications with a number of great companies, and most importantly right now, Optimizely. We're a Gold Optimizely partner, and there's a lot we're going to be able to share today surrounding experimentation in GA4 with Optimizely. Now, I've said Optimizely 6 or 7 times by now. You have probably heard of them, but let me give you the quick details on Optimizely to make sure we're all on the same page here. They've been around since 2010 and are a proven global leader, working with over 9,000 brands to help serve the next generation of digital leaders. While many, including myself, knew them for their original experimentation offering, which is what we're going to be talking about today, they've also continued to grow their offerings, including content management platform, customized commerce solution, overall providing a full digital experience platform for companies like yourself. But from a results standpoint, what am I going to get? What's the money? What's the ROI of this whole thing? Over 75% of Optimizely users reported increased revenue of 5% or more. Over 40% of Optimizely users have increased revenues by over 10%, all directly attributed to experimentation. We don't do fluffy webinars. We do ones that can make an impact, like 10% revenue growth for your business. So now that you know who InfoTrust is, who Optimizely is, let's get a quick poll running on where you are in your experimentation journey. So for this poll, it's the question that's going to pop up here. And if you can fill this out for where you are, does your organization currently do any kind of web experimentation? I see some results coming in. All right, looks like we've got 2/3 participation. We'll give it one more second here. So largely what I'm seeing is that, yes, we do a little web experimentation is the winner here so far. And then split just about evenly as, yes, we conduct extensive, or no, we don't have, no, we do have interest, and we understand that value prop of web experimentation. Here are those results here. All right, so let's keep moving right along and jump out of this poll. All right, let's keep moving right along. I want to get the experts here. You don't want to hear me talk. I want to have the experts jump in. So I am pleased to introduce Jared Fisher from InfoTrust and Dejan Brown from Optimizely. Take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dejan Brown. I'm a principal product evangelist from Optimizely, and I'm looking forward to jumping in today and talking a little bit about Google Optimize and about experimentation as well.
Awesome. Hello, y'all. My name is Jared Fisher. I'm a senior digital analytics consultant here at InfoTrust, and I'll be kind of covering some of the GA4 related parts of specifically today's discussion. So with that, let's go ahead and just dive right into today's agenda. So for today, we are going to be discussing the deprecation of Google Optimize. what you need to know. We'll also be talking about the value of continued web experimentation for those who maybe haven't heard a lot about web experimentation or don't have a detailed understanding of what it might bring to your organization. We'll also discuss why Optimizely should be in your tool belt, and if you haven't added it yet, why you should add it. And then we'll also discuss leveraging Google Analytics 4 and Optimizely together to get that full data analysis of the experiments and your users. And then lastly, we'll have questions and contact information if you hope to reach out. All right, so diving right in, deprecation of Google Optimize. What you need to know is Google Optimize will be sunset on September 30th of 2023 with limited or no access to the user interface. Why is this really important to y'all? Roughly about a few months ago, roughly 60% of organizations and sites leveraged Google Optimize to some extent if they utilized a web experimentation of some kind, tool of some kind. So why is Google deprecating something that seemed like it had such a large market hold on? It's because Google wishes to focus on bringing more effective solutions and integrations to their customers, especially as they look forward to the future of Google Analytics 4. So what are some things that you should know and start working on? First, backing up and saving the historical data if you do so choose from Google Optimize, and if you did utilize it. Obviously, it's unclear whether the access to the Google Optimize interface will be available. So just make sure that you're doing that before the 30th. So it looks like you all have roughly nine days to actually get that done. So if you haven't done that, certainly do that. Number two, identifying the value of web experimentation to your organization. This is something that Dejan will touch on later, reasons why we believe y'all should do that. And then three, choosing your web experimentation tool. Once again, Dejan will explain why InfoTrust and Optimizely both believe that Optimizely is a great choice for y'all, and also bringing in those necessary partners like InfoTrust to help y'all with that. And then four, integrating your product stack. So ensuring that your product stack is integrated, you have your data analysis tools in place will be vital as well. So with that, there's another poll. So I know that there's lots of polls right now, but there's another poll. So question for this poll is, has your organization utilized Google Optimize in the past? Perfect. We're seeing results roll through pretty quickly. So far, the winner is, we have a lot of mixed results. So everyone across the scale. Right now, the leader is yes, we leverage Google Optimize here and there, which is kind of what we expected. We have a few people split pretty evenly between the other three choices there for that. We're about a third participation rate. Perfect. All right, and with that, I appreciate y'all putting in your input. I will go ahead and send it over to Dejan.
Yeah, so yeah, the poll was interesting. So we saw a kind of the gamut there from top to bottom, with the second being the highest. So what I'm going to do here is explain a little bit about experimentation in general, why it has so much value, and then kind of talk about a little bit of how Optimizely can help you. So the world moves fast. There's a lot going on in our digital landscape, and you can move on to the next screen there, Jared. There's a lot going on in the digital landscape. There's a lot of people trying to get your attention, and uncertainty is absolutely everywhere. And data is king in a world like that. Being able to synthesize this data, being able to have it at your fingertips in order to make right decisions at the right time. And one of the ways in which we can capitalize on that is by experimenting. And if we move to the next screen, I'll talk about that a little bit as well. Experimentation is the scientific method. It's kind of bringing science into that marketing landscape, or that web landscape, that digital landscape. And our leaders in today's digital world use experimentation. From the likes of Amazon to Netflix to Google, Booking.com. statement by Jeff Bezos: our success is a function of how many experiments we do each year, each month, and each day. So experimentation is key, and key at scale, especially if you're looking to grow your organization, especially if you're looking to make the right decisions at the right times. And that's what we do at Optimizely. At Optimizely, we focus on experimentation, and so did actually Google Optimize. Google Optimize did experimentation, but they did it at a very low level. So what I would say is Google Optimize was mainly for the company that's looking to get started in experimentation, the company that's looking to get their feet wet. But there are many other tools out there, and Optimizely, I would say, is the best at allowing you to truly grow your digital maturity and your experimentation program. So let's dive into a few of the key features that Google Optimize had and some of the things they didn't have, or some of the limitations that were there that I would like to call out here to kind of show where you were if you sat in Google Optimize. And then I'll bring out some of the features and things that we'd like to look at from an Optimizely perspective and what a deeper experimentation journey looks like. So two of the features that were key within the Google Optimize tool was the GA4 integration and the integration with Google Ads. A lot of companies in today's day and age utilize Google in some way, shape, or form. And Google Ads and GA4 are both strong tools that are utilized in many companies. So that's the good. Those are two of the main features I would call out from Google Optimize that kind of stands out. Now, some of the things in which we at Optimizely differentiate ourselves, one would be in the way their model works. They use a Bayesian model, which kind of looks at history only, doesn't really take into account what's happening today, and doesn't allow for you to really have controls. And also there's a 14-day runtime for test completion, 90 days for an experiment to complete. The visual editor is a little bit older, not as modern, and not as easy to use. And you did not have the CSM support. You didn't have the support of true subject matter expertise of a company that utilizes and has been doing experimentation for quite some time. So what I'll say is there are many ways in which Optimizely differentiate itself. And if we go 2 slides ahead, we can look into some of those more key features in a little more detail here. But I won't dive into every single one. But what I'd like to say is it's key and a little bit obvious in some of the ways in which we stand out from a feature perspective, and some of the things that we're able to give you if you're looking to dive deeper, if you're looking to build a world-class experimentation culture and build that experimentation maturity within your company. Now, let's not take my word for it specifically. Let's actually look into some of the Google Optimize users that have come into Optimizely over the last few months after having heard about this deprecation, after knowing that September 30th is coming and it's coming fast. Some of these brands you see listed here on the right, and some of the things that we found when running this program. I myself do run this within Optimizely, and some of the things we found is 4.8 experiments launched within the first 8 weeks. So your experimentation velocity increased after moving from Google Optimize. So the quicker you experiment, the quicker you get to that next decision key, the quicker you get to ROI. So 4.8 experiments launched, 3.5 weeks on average from signature to first experiment, which accelerating that time to value. And then 12.2 active users within the first 2 months. So that one I think is pretty key in regards to fostering that culture of experimentation. I would say those coming from Google Optimize are typically looking to double down and grow within their experimentation landscape and begin to make more decisions at scale. And this ability to foster more than just a few key users within your organization allows you to grow at scale and is key within the larger enterprise level companies. So a quick call out I like to have here is a feature we have that's called experiment collaboration that allows you to collaborate not only within the organization that's doing the experiments, but across the organization. you can vote on, you can hypothesize, you can work together to choose the right experiments to run, and then run those at scale and manage them at scale. So a lot that can be done here. And there's a few testimonials that I wanted to call out here that kind of speak to the value of Optimizely and how we're able to truly help you experiment. So kind of touching on what I said a little bit earlier in regards to Google Optimize being that easy way in, that gateway drug, so to speak, in regards to experimentation, getting you to hear what it is and learn what experimentation can be. That's what DS Smith did. And as you can see from this, once they were able to get their feet wet, they realized the value of experimentation, and they came on over to Optimizely from the Google recommendation, being that we are a partner of choice, and we integrate with Google, and they suggest to many of their partners, us as well as 3 other companies are partners of choice for Google Optimize, and it was an easy transition into utilizing Optimizely as their go-to choice for experimentation. Same thing at New Era. New Era wanted a solution that allowed them to bring value, to really ideate better, to make decisions quicker, and to truly bring value. And as you can see, their ad to basket percentage increased, and their overall conversion increased and was better after utilizing Optimizely. We were able to get them from decision to ROI quite a bit quicker, which showed who we are and what we do. There's a reason why we are the world leader in digital experience. And if you can move to the next screen, you'll see that. We have 10,000 plus global customers, 1,000 plus in implementations. We've been recognized by Gartner, Forrester, and IDC as a leader 7 times. And we're classified as the world's largest digital laboratory since we've been in the game the longest. Experimentation is what we do, and it's who we are. We have 2 million plus experiments that we've ran already. So from a subject matter expertise, from a thought leadership expertise, when you come to Optimizely, you're not just getting a tool, you're getting an organization, you're getting a team, you're getting a partner that can truly bring value to your experimentation practice and what it does. Now, getting a little bit away from the overall Optimizely as a whole, why is the solution really the best? So let's dive a little bit deeper there. One, we are the most performant experimentation solution. And that's by matter of fact, actually. We do have performance edge, which allows us to be and have the most performance snippet on the market. So when running experiments, you do run those experiments much faster than our competitors. We have the most reliable stats model. Kind of one of the things I called out earlier, that we're not just using a Bayesian, the Bayesian model. We do have a sequential model that allows us to test not only on some historical data points, but in real time and bring value. So there's no second guessing the results when the results do come, and their results are easy to understand. You're able to test on anything. And I do mean anything. Our competitors don't allow you to test within one platform, within one tool, both your web and your backend. You can find that in a few different places, but with Optimizely, you can do both. You can satisfy the developer who wants to test. You can satisfy the marketer who wants to test. There's a lot that you can do with our Optimizely platform. And then we handle experimentation at scale. As I spoke to earlier, just one of the features, experiment collaboration, is an essential feature to doing exactly that. Your whole enterprise can really experiment and grow at scale. And then we have an ecosystem of support with our subject matter expertise and the experience that we have in the space. We can help you grow in experimentation. And there's a reason why 24 of the Fortune 100 companies utilize us for their experimentation currently. So some of those key points that I'd like to call out are there at the bottom. 3 times faster results when using Optimizely, 14% uplift in revenue is some of the data points that we're seeing here at Optimizely. We are faster than a blink of an eye, less than 50 milliseconds in regards to running your test, and a 5x increase in your velocity These are just some of the metrics that we've seen after having run our 2 million tests within that digital landscape, which kind of speaks to that value. So let's dive a little deeper into some of the specific features that we do have. Performance without compromise. Optimizely's performance edge, which I spoke to a little bit earlier, ultra fast delivery on Cloudflare's network, which allows us to have we have that Streamlabs performance snippet, almost no loading and no flicker with loaded code, large code, whatever you're utilizing. We do have the speed to handle it. Many different forms of testing. We have not just A/B testing. Many think we're just an A/B testing tool, but there's a lot more. There's many different types of tests, multivariate testing, multi-armed bandits. There's a ton of different testing that you can do with the Optimizely platform, and you can do that at scale very fast and on both the front end and the back end with our feature experimentation SDKs that offer near zero latency. So a lot that you can do there. And then also, you can also, another way in which we stand out from a feature perspective is in our accuracy through Stats Engine and our flexible data and how we can handle data. Stats Engine is something that I called out a little bit earlier. It's one of those things that we can definitively say our competitors don't have. Our Stats Engine allow us to test in real time with sequential statistics for fast and accurate results. We have machine learning that allows us to accelerate that time to statistical significance. So you can make a decision faster. Quicker decision means quicker time to ROI. We have error controls built into our platform. So we have those measures that allow for interaction effects and multi-experiment setups, and data integration, and rich events export and data services for in-depth analysis. We have teams that can really help you get the most value out of your data. And then from a performance perspective as well, we not only do that on the front end, but if we move to the next screen, we can see that we actually help you with performance also on the back end with our feature experimentation tool. So this is the more developer-focused tool that allows you to test you're with feature flagging, gradual rollouts, allows you to test with your mobile platform as well. So much that you can do on the feature experimentation landscape that you can also do on the front end, which is something you could all do with Optimizely within one platform. And then personalization. Personalization is a buzzword. On the next screen, we can see that personalization is a buzzword that many people are speaking of today. It's one of those things that you have to have as an organization. And Optimizely allows you to do that. We aren't a one-size-fit-all type of solution. We allow you to send targeted messages to the right audiences at the right time. We give you recommendations. So for valuable user clicks, we can tailor the audience interest. We can again test in many different ways on the audiences that you have. So personalization is definitely something you can do, whether it's just browser-based personalization all the way down to deep personalization and geo-targeting and the like. There's many things that we can do from a personalization perspective that is extremely valuable by coming over to Optimizely. And then one of the last things I wanted to speak to is our integrations. So integrations we do have the largest integration laboratory that's connected with Optimizely. So if we don't have it natively within our platform, we connect to it. There's so much that we can do from an integration perspective, from connecting with your different data platforms. So getting harmonized, actionable insights across your channels. We have a Salesforce integration. We have journey analytics and performance monitoring that we do through integrations. And one of the key integrations that I'd like to call out here that Jared's actually going to dive deeper into after this is the GA4 integration. So being that we were selected as a partner of choice for Google and for this Google optimized deprecation, we've been given advanced access to build a GA4 integration. And we already have portions of that integration already built out with our event tracking and our report generation features. These features allow us to what I call push data into GA4. It enables customers to send any experiment variation to GA4, which then creates Google audiences within GA4. So you can now do quite a bit within GA4 by pushing data into GA4. And what's coming very, very shortly is the ability to then pull data from GA4. So in the near future, we'll be able to pull data into our experimentation platform, which allows us to not affect the way you currently do business. So if you're in Google and you're in GA4 and you've built out audiences and you're working with those audiences today, we'll be able to pull those audiences into our platform and work with them there as well. So you won't have to recreate said audiences within our platform. We'll be able to work with what you currently have and continue the process of experimentation and just go deeper and grow deeper within your experimentation journey and your experimentation landscape. Now, a couple things before I throw it back to Jared, a couple things that I want you guys to remember in regards to this Google optimized deprecation. One, that Jared spoke of, there won't be you won't be able to carry over a lot of those the historical results that you have. So a migration will be a rebuild. I know there was a question earlier that kind of asked of some tips to migrating and some things that we do there. Right now, don't be fooled by tools that will tell you that they can migrate easily or migrate current experiments. Right now, based on what we know, being that we are partners with Google in this effort, is that it won't be an easy carryover. It will be an experiment rebuild that you would have to do. So that's something to keep in mind with anyone that you're working with from an experimentation landscape perspective. You're going to have to rebuild your experiments. And then I would want to give you a way to think here is use this opportunity as an opportunity to grow your experimentation culture. So if you've been working in Google Optimize, or you're just thinking about getting into experimentation, or you're looking to grow deeper and move deeper, Optimizely provides world-class tools with world-class training to turn you into a world-class experimentation organization. So let's go deeper and let's grow in our experimentation practice. So I'll throw it back to you, Jared, to kind of dive deeper into that GA4 integration from here.
Yeah, thank you, Dejan. That was awesome. It's great to hear exactly what Optimizely is doing and from their perspective. So now that you have your kind of a full view of what Optimizely is able to provide y'all whenever it comes to web experimentation, we'll dive into the integration specifically with GA4 and how Optimizely is able to integrate with GA4, the data that's available, and kind of, once it's in GA4, what do you do? So in this section, we'll kind of be walking through the no-code integration between GA4 and Optimizely. We'll also talk about more of the advanced GTM route for integrating with Optimizely. And then we'll also be diving into some of the data analysis. So analyzing your data, experiment data and user behaviors within the GA4 UI, as well as that exporting of experiment data from GA4 to a data warehouse like BigQuery for advanced data analysis and long-term storage. So diving right in, what does the no-code integration look like? How quickly is it able to be set up? Very quickly, as long as you have the same or the necessary access in the Optimizely project as well as in GA4, integration, the no-code integration can be very quick. So to configure your no-code integration, the way that this will be completed is accessing your Optimizely project. You'll navigate to the settings panel here that you can see for step 1. From there, you're going to navigate over to the integrations tabs and for step 2 and identify your Google Analytics for in the list of dropdowns. So as you can also see, there's many different other integrations that are available that Dejan's kind of has already mentioned and talked about. And then from there, step 4, you're just going to toggle it on. It might look a little bit different if it's going to be the very first time. For example, you might have to sign into your Google account just to make sure you have the right access between your Google Analytics 4 account in Optimizely. So just validating those links before the integration is actually complete. But then from that point on, it's a simple toggle on and off switch. And then from there, you can actually activate tracking per experiment. So you don't have to track every single experiment through that Optimizely is running and send it over to GA4. If you only want specific experiments to be sent over, you can activate that within the experiment interface. So that's kind of the high level overview of how to create that integration. And next, we'll kind of be looking at some of the advantages and limitations that we'll see. So obviously, there's some advantages to going, the direct no-code integration versus the GTM integration, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. But some of the advantages is it's easy and quick and is connected directly within your Optimizely user interface. Data is automatically going to be sent from Optimizely to GA4, and also that API connection is actually completed by Optimizely and managed by them. So there's no concern as far as like what happens if something gets updated or anything along those lines. Optimizely will manage that and keep it up. Some of the limitations, there's going to be less flexibility. So obviously with any kind of no code, this would be any kind of integration with GA4, there's going to be some limitations to no code. So you kind of have to, what Optimizely will provide you with which is great. It will be more limited. So like if you think through event names, naming convention, you think through parameters, things along those lines, you'll just need to be aware that there will be less flexibility and customization capabilities if you go directly with the no code. Optimizely projects can only be linked to one GA4 property at a time. So for example, right now, best practice is that if you have an Optimizely project that that project is specific to site. But if perhaps you have one project that's running on multiple different sites, or there's different GA4 properties between each of those, it will be important to just recognize that Optimizely projects can just be linked to one GA4 property at this time. And then GA4 audiences based on experiment variations can be automatically created if toggled on in the Optimizely platform. So I know for like large organizations with GA4 specifically, because those audiences in GA4 are automatically going to be shared with other GMP products, there might be times that you don't want that. And so that's just one thing to note, that Optimizely users can activate and turn on that audience creation capability. So the ideal use case, what we'd suggest, small to intermediate size corporations that don't heavily rely on a tag management system of any kind, or don't have a tag management system, obviously, or audiences in GA4. So they don't have a ton of audiences, they don't have a ton of integrations with other GMP products, things along those lines. That's where we'd recommend going with this no code currently. As we kind of move to the advantages of GTM, the reason why we would look at this is a note. You'll still have to create that no code integration, but there's a toggle that will say like use GTM instead. So it's a pretty easy toggle to actually activate. But what it will do, so some of the advantages is it does provide that flexibility to customize your data as needed. So if you need a different naming convention, you want, this parameter associated with this event, so on and so forth, you can go ahead and actually do that. User-defined GA4 audiences can be created within the GA4 user interface, so they're more controlled at the GA4 level. That's same for the no-code integration, but obviously you can, in the Optimizely UI, you can toggle on that audience creation capability, and so users won't be able to toggle that on if you go through your GTM route. And it can send data from one project, one Optimizely project, to multiple GA4 properties. So you can think about the tags. You can have multiple configuration tags within GTM. And so if you do have multiple GA4 properties that you're leveraging, you can go ahead and connect it and send it to both of those. What are some of those limitations? Once again, it's kind of flip-flop from what we just discussed. It's going to require additional steps to set up and test, as well as to validate your data. It will provide an additional level of complexity that will be added to it, and upkeep from the organization's perspective, for your tech stack, and then also access to Optimizely GTM and GA4 will be needed for a user to actually complete this full setup. So as we think about large organizations or intermediate sized organizations, if you have multiple teams that kind of control various different parts of your tech stack, like one that runs Optimizely specifically, one that runs GTM specifically in GA4, you're just going to have to work together to make sure that you're able to create that integration. So best use case, intermediate to large multi-site organizations that leverage GTM as their tag management system and wish to have more control of their data. All right, and so as we move, where are some of the places that you can actually play with the data, see the data, work with the data, understand the data? There will be data in a lot of different areas, but there are some that are very specific to enhancing the data and where you want to actually run or learn and work with that data. So one, the Optimizely user interface, it's still going to be one of the best places to look specifically at experiment level data. This isn't going to be user level. You can get some user level data, but if you're specifically wondering what experiment is statistically significant, what experiment is providing those results that we want to see, what experiment is performing better than other, or what variation is performing better than one variation over the other. That's where Optimizely user interface it's not going to be able to be beat. And it's going to be the best place to actually see those things. Whenever we think about the Google Analytics for user interface, this is going to be basically to look a lot at like analyzing other events or user attributes. So, you have other events that are triggering on, and obviously you might not track all those events through, Optimizely, but you have them all tracked through GA4. That's where you'd want to keep those and kind of analyze the data from within that GA4 user interface. This will just allow you to actually see users, broken out by experiments, by variations, and really be able to dive into that data that you're collecting that is maybe not available in the Optimizely user interface. And then lastly, BigQuery and reporting tools. So I kind of grouped a few there together, but BigQuery specifically, if you want to do your advanced queries, connecting offline, online data together, BigQuery is going to be a great place to do that. And it's going to be able to be easily integrated from GA4 to BigQuery and be able to look at that data in more of a data warehouse style and queries and tables and things like that. But then also reporting dashboards. So if you have senior executives who want to see, various reporting dashboards, they don't want to be in Optimizely, they don't want to be in GA4, they don't want to be in BigQuery, you can create those, Looker Studio reports or, connect Tableau or Power BI reports to your BigQuery instance, or utilize a third-party tool to connect them for ETL and things like that. All right, so let's dive a little bit further into each of those. So if we look at Optimizely data analysis specifically, you can see that there's a screen over here that's kind of moving. It's running through what an actual results page would kind of give you, what it would show you, what you'd be able to look at. So this will allow you to determine the expected effects of an experiment variation on the identified metrics that you're hoping to increase. So whether it's a button click, whether it's revenue, whether it's specific signups or seeing certain pages, things along those lines. That Optimizely user interface will provide that. You can actually see here that there's a primary metric that you'll use. That's what your experiment is going to be performing towards. You can also add additional metrics as this one kind of scrolls down, so you can actually see what it looks like. So if you do have additional metrics, like maybe it's a button click, but you also want to see what happens with revenue, you can go ahead and do that as well. You can also see the expected variation improvement based on the included experiment visitors. So you can see, based on this variation compared to this variation, if you're running an A/B test, or maybe you're running a, multi-arm bandit, or, maybe even more specifically, just a multivariate test. You want to see, various performance levels of each of those variations. You can go and actually see how those perform. You can also see the confidence interval. So how confident would it be if you implemented that specific experiment or variation? How would it work? And then switching between various audiences, date ranges, baseline that you're using, whether it's the original or a different variation, to actually see those, you can go ahead and change between those. And then lastly, upgrading your graphs to show, the experiment related metrics. Maybe it's visitors by time, conversions over time, how quickly did it get to statistical significance, so on and so forth. And then as we turn our attention towards GA4 specifically, so what kind of data can you actually capture in GA4, or that will be sent over to GA4 via the GTM route or the no-code integration? So Optimizely passes 2 events via the no-code integration. It's experiment impression and Optimizely decision. So that's going to be like, what decision did they decide to make? And then as well as like, did they actually see the experiment where they added into the experiment really bucketed? It also passes some additional event parameters such as campaign and variation. So you can split those out, look at them. And those events and parameters can be observed in the real-time standard explore reports of GA4 and kind of leveraged. And specifically, what main question is probably going to come down to is, can they be leveraged in segments and audiences? And yes, they can. You can leverage whatever you decide, whether it's the event, whether it's the parameter, whatever it might be, you can leverage those in building your segments and audiences in GA4. So those events and parameters are passed, and so therefore you can add them to your segments and audiences to actually observe your user behavior. So if you want to pull together a user or a user segment or something like that, or a user audience, and actually see that data, or create action on that data, see that maybe the additional subsequent effects on user interactions, you can go ahead and actually create those segments. And then also creating those audiences, once again, you can manually do that. It's fairly quick. Obviously, you can see here that you can just toggle on, build a segment, or build an audience based on, those specific events, if you do so choose that you want to build those. But beyond that, we talked also about BigQuery and other tools. So there are other tools that you can leverage once you connect your data to GA4. One of them being BigQuery. That's probably the top one. You can export your data to BigQuery to actually see the results of your experiments, where you can actually do that advanced analytic techniques that you want to use, tie together that front end and back end data, and really get that full user journey encapsulated in BigQuery. You can also just connect BigQuery or GA4 to Looker Studio for those reports for those executives. So you can kind of see some of those more detailed reports in a cleaner version, and also do some different techniques that you can leverage there. External reporting tools such as Power BI and Tableau, you can do that as well. Connecting through BigQuery is currently the best place, but there are more and more reporting tools that are coming out with more of those direct integrations to GA4 as well. So you can actually see if you're a non-Google tech stack specifically. And then, think about, you maybe don't use BigQuery, or, maybe your organization utilizes a different kind of data warehouse. AWS, Snowflake, Azure, you can connect all of those to BigQuery and through some ETL, send that data over to a different data warehouse that you hope to, leverage more specifically. So there's a lot of different capabilities that you can actually do here, and is really important to kind of look at fully. Is just understand that your data can, once in GA4, it's the possibilities are endless, really, in terms of what you're able to do. So with that, there is another poll that we'll run. This is our second to last one here. So it's, how important is your organization to have products that integrate with GA4 specifically, or other GMP products? You can also think like Optimizely is able to integrate with, Google Ads, and Dejan talking about the ability for that push and pull method starting to get ready to come out. So feel free to send that out. So right now we're seeing a heavy number of people selecting a very important deciding factor in doing or in choosing a tool whenever starting to work. We see a few that's it's more nice to have, none that's not very important, which kind of what I would assume. Typically we see that exporting and accessing that data in different areas is very important. All right. Awesome. And we got roughly around 46% rate. So very good. And so now I know that we have a lot of questions in the chat. So right before I do the questions, just a quick summary. What should you take away from, today's discussion, today's webinar? Google Optimize is going to be sunset. There's no doubt about it. It's going to be gone. And that will be done on September 30th. Once again, limited to no access. It's still kind of InfoTrust leans towards there's going to be no access, so just prepare that way. Don't think that there's going to be access after that September 30th deadline. Ongoing web experimentation is important in driving those conversion rates, revenues, and returning users, increasing those. It's vital. And then Optimizely is proven product that provides users with powerful features to help level up your organization's web experimentation. There's many powerful features: Performance Edge, Stats Accelerator, all those different machine learning capabilities, experiments, things along those lines. Lots of that provided with Optimizely whenever you add that to your tool belt. And then lastly, the integration between GA4 and Optimizely provides a wide variety of options whenever it comes to your data analysis and reporting. All right, and with that, I'm going to go ahead and jump into some questions. So we know that we do see a few questions, and I'm going to ask Dejan to also come off so he can take on any of the Optimizely questions.
It seems like a good amount of them have been answered actually by Adam and Marco. They've been going through and answering some of these, but I'm looking through myself as well.
Awesome. I'm navigating through that as well. If there's anyone that hasn't, so let's see.
And for Andrew, getting your question answered internally, it's a little more complex, but we will get back to you on that question there about seeing Optimizely GA4 data in Looker Studio.
Yeah, it looks like, appreciate the help, Adam and Marco. You guys been killing it in this chat.
Yeah, it looks like there's not a whole lot for us to answer. If there's anything that we're missing.
Looks like one coming in from Scott, and that might be a follow-up shortly thereafter one, but I'll let you, you're the experts here. I'll let you both answer that.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and read it. So Optimizely has an excellent safeguard against the kind of data dredging that creates false positives. But if we export Optimizely data to GA4, what safeguards are there against people inappropriately data dredging in GA4?
Yeah, that might have to be a follow-up. I think I know the answer, but I want to get you the right answer. So let me get you a follow-up on that one, Scott. Great question, by the way.
And we can email that afterwards. And I think a lot of these questions also are things that we will use for additional contents, like a recap, so that these are documented, so that there might be multiple people with that had that in mind, or that will find value in that answer.
For sure. Any questions that we perhaps missed? Otherwise, I will turn it back over to Adam to kind of wrap it up for us. But stay tuned. There's definitely, like Adam said, a way to get a free copy of our book and everything along those lines. Here's one that just came in: with the sunset of Google Optimize, will A/B testing capabilities in Firebase also be sunset? I can double check on that one. I believe that from what I saw, Firebase, A/B testing within Firebase is not going to be sunset. I believe that there's actually a Google article out there that actually discusses specifically that use case since Firebase is not, we're able to do that. So with that, I know we have a poll that was just launched. That one, feel free to answer that one, but also along those lines, I will send it over to Adam.
All right. So if we go to the next slide there, I wanted to say thank you all for staying on to the end. Big thanks to you, Dejan, and to Jared for everything that was shared. Everybody who is asking questions and participating, very much appreciate that. We will get answers to all of these. I also wanted to highlight 2 upcoming events, one for InfoTrust, one for Optimizely. For InfoTrust, we have our durability summit. We hosted one in London. The last one was in New York. This upcoming one is in San Francisco at Google. We'll have Neil Hoyne, Chief Strategist at Google, joining InfoTrust co-founders, massive companies like Sally Beauty, and others presenting there. They'll be talking about data storytelling, compliance perspective, server-side GTM, and more. You can check our events page for more details on this, as well as upcoming virtual and live events. As for Opticon, Opticon's coming October 10th through 12th. Dejan will be there. I'll be there. You saw Marco in that chat. Marco will be there. Thousands of others will be there, including speakers like the CEO of Burberry, executives from Tapestry and Zoom. It'll be a great growth opportunity for everyone. So outside of that, there is one more thing here on the next slide. If you are interested in learning more, this is my email. You will hear directly. I will email back everybody. If anything we discuss piqued your interest, reach out to me. I'll take all the questions and also bring in Optimizely experts. They're happy to invest the time, especially so you can see the type of support you get with Optimizely right from the start. If you want a demo, we can set that up, as well as we can send out a link for the weekly public demos that Optimizely runs. Last part, the book, all the way back to the beginning. If you want a copy of our Amazon bestselling book, Becoming a Privacy-Centric Marketing Organization, just email me. You won't get some crazy sales pitch back. You'll just get a link back from me saying, here, fill this out, and we'll send you one. We'll cover all the costs. It's on us. So if that is of interest to you, we'd love to get that in more hands so that you can make more of your first-party data and continue becoming a more privacy-centric marketing organization. Outside of that, that's what we have for today. Very much appreciate everybody attending. So thank you all again, and we hope to see you again at one of the next InfoTrust or Optimizely virtual or in-person events.